What's up, everyone? It's Thomas with Real Broker here in St. Augustine, Florida, coming at you live every Wednesday, 8 p.m., going over the market stats, the news you need to know about, everything about buying, selling, or investing here in Northeastern Florida. And we're also doing a Q&A. So if you have any questions about any of the news stories I cover, if you have any questions about the market data or what's going on, or any questions about buying, selling, or good restaurants here in town, let me know in the comments below. I'm here to help. I am streaming on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook, so I'd really like to know that all of those are working the way it should. So if you are watching, please let me know and drop a comment below where you're watching from, both like if you're watching from out of state, but also if you are watching on one of those platforms, so that I can kind of track where my traffic is coming from. That would be fantastic from you guys. I really would appreciate it. So let's go ahead and hop right into it, get into the news, not the news stories, we'll go into the markets data. And we'll compare, I think what I'm going to start doing is kind of systematizing it, maybe doing just sale price and days on market, because I think that's the easiest metric and the easiest way to understand what's going on here in the market. So let me share my screen. All right, so we got the market stats. This is only for St. Johns County. Now I can show every county in here if I'd like to. And that'll give us way different numbers. I can see for pretty much the Jacksonville Metro Service area, we're looking at $375 median sale price. But I like to stay here in St. Johns County. Of course, I do work in other counties, but this is the Living in St. Augustine show. St. Augustine is in St. Johns County. So month over month. So we see that last month we were at a $490 average price point, and right now we're at $540. And this is a change from 10% from last month, which is pretty crazy, and 8% from the year prior, which is also a pretty staggering number. So as you can see, we're getting into the summer season where if you are selling a home, it's definitely the best time to sell a home because you have more competition out for your home, especially here in our market. It's just one of those markets where a lot of people move here for schools, or maybe they're waiting for their kids to get out, so they're waiting for that summer period, and just moving during that time is a lot easier for people because they can take some time off of work, all that good stuff. So summer is definitely the busiest time here, and looks like that our price is trending in the way that I would expect it, which would be peaking in probably June or July. So we'll keep on track of that as well, and then we'll, of course, we'll stay on top of everything here, right, guys? So let's take a look at days on market. Switch that up a little bit. So we can see days on market has gone kind of crazy, right? So this is from 2022 of May, we're at 14 days on market, right? So just 2 years ago, put a home on the market for 2 weeks and it was gone. So things have changed pretty drastically within that 2 years. You can see right now we're at 41 days on market, which is up from last month of 33 days, and the same as the period, same as the year ago. So really nothing changed there. I would say that honestly is like, that's healthy. 41 days is still actually extremely a short amount of time. That's not anything to be alarmed about. Obviously, when you see an increase like this for the days on market, it is kind of staggering, right? So you could almost track it based off of, like, if you looked at interest rates, I guarantee this follows the rise in interest rates almost immediately, because around May of 2022 is when things really started to change. So I think that's very interesting data. Those are the two real main metrics that I think most people should look at, right? Look at the median sale price and then look at the days on market, because the days on market is going to give you the temperature of the market there, right? If it's 14 days, well, you know what? You better offer full price, no concessions, and just move forward, right? If it's 41 days, the good thing is if you're a buyer, you can actually negotiate a little bit, right? Not a whole bunch of wiggle room with that, but there's still more than there was 2 years ago where it's like, hey, you want the house or not? If you don't, too bad. And I think that's better. And if you're a seller, I mean, you can see our prices are still going up, so you're still going to get top dollar for your home, but you got to be willing to give a little bit. Before, it was just kind of like, hey, this house is here, you can buy it, I'm going to give it to the best offer, and that's how things were. People thought it was really easy to be a real estate agent during those times, and it wasn't. If you were a listing agent, your life was a little bit easier. You didn't have to put any money behind your marketing. You could just literally list a house and sell it within 2 weeks, right? But if you're on the opposite side of that, which I was a buyer's agent during that time, and I do both. I do buying and selling. But if you're on the opposite side of that, you were working as a buyer's agent during that time, you're getting crushed, right? Because what was the chance that you were working with this buyer that had the highest qualifications to purchase this home? So you're doing like 3 times, maybe not 3 times, probably 4 or 5 times the amount of work than you typically would do on the same, getting paid the same. So it's like I lost money on a lot of transactions during that time, just because I wanted my people to win, and I don't try to give up on anyone, So it was a tough time, definitely was. But either way, guys, let's go on to the news stories here. If you have any questions about the data I covered, let me know in the comments below. And I'm going to head to the next news story here. I think this is a good one. This is some good news, at least. So we all know what's going on with real estate agent commissions, the big lawsuit. Essentially, it's boiled down to like the commission for buyer's agents will no longer be advertised on the MLS. Not saying that buyer's agent commission is going away altogether. It just won't be advertised on the MLS. So there will be some sellers that are just like, hey, I'm not paying a buyer's agent, and that's already a thing. It's already existing. But what pretty much all of the the VA, other GSEs have done is made the ability for any buyer to roll their agent's commissions into their loan, right? And for a while there, we were wondering about the VA. We didn't know if that was going to happen or not, because it's always been a rule that they can't pay buyer agent commission using a VA loan. So they've essentially addressed the issue, which is great, because veterans were getting totally screwed in this situation. Because then it's like, hey, you got to go directly to the listing agent who represents the seller, and oh, sorry, you can't pay for a buyer's agent. So it's like, once again, the veterans taking an L for us, unbelievable, but they had to step in and do something here. So I think this is a really, really amazing thing. Hopefully, I still think sellers are going to be paying the majority of the commissions here, guys. I mean, it's already been a thing. You've never had to pay an agent to do what we do, right? It's a service. That's it. You could have always bought a property by yourself. You could always sold a property by yourself. It's just a little bit more difficult. You're just doing another job, really, at the end of the day. So this is something that definitely needed to happen, but at the end of the day, most sellers are still going to be savvy and be paying the buyer's agent. It's going to be this is the change. Opposed to me going on the MLS and saying, oh, great, my buyer likes 123 Main Street and they're offering a 3% commission. I'm going to go, oh, who's the agent on 123 Main Street? Oh, you know what? I got to call Tim, So I call Tim and say, hey, Tim, you guys offering a commission on that? Yeah, we're offering 2.5%. Cool. All right, bring my buyer through. That's it. And then on the opposite end of that, I actually had an epiphany. I used to think that if this were the way it was supposed to go, and buyer's agents were then going to have to ask the seller for the commission, opposed to it just being offered out there, well, then that's the agent putting their interest in front of their buyer's interest, right? And to me, that's not, we act as fiduciaries. We're supposed to put our buyers or our clients' interests in front of ours. So I was like, well, that's kind of a conflict right there, because I'm asking for, if they're offering 2% and I'm asking for 3%, well, then I'm kind of lessening the offer of what my buyer's putting through, right, in this scenario. But in this other world that we're going to be living here in the future, we're actually helping them by asking for our commission from the seller, right? Because if we ask for the commission from the seller, then they're not having to pay that and roll that into their loan, even though all commissions are technically paid by the buyer, even though it comes out of the seller's closing costs. But how would the seller get the money to pay their closing costs? The buyer brought the money, and it's always been rolled into a loan. So either way, you guys have seen me rant on this before. I don't want to go too deep into it, but that's definitely something that is pretty interesting to me, because it seems like we're just spinning our wheels and talking about all this stuff and nothing's really going to change. And that's kind of the consensus amongst like high producing agents in the area. They're like, yeah, you know what, just keep doing what you're doing, providing value to people, and people are going to want to use your service. And that's how it's always been. So I don't know. Either way, guys, let me know what you think about that in the comments below. I'm going to go on to the next news story. So this is something that affects the whole state of Florida, and I'd like to know what you guys think. Florida's abortion ban will reach well beyond Florida. As of Wednesday, Florida has banned abortion after 6 weeks of pregnancy. It will have far-reaching effects. So I hope you guys can see this. I might have an icon in this way. Let me move this real quick. So this is a great little graph here. Miles to nearest clinic offering abortions after 6 weeks. So this is in 2021. So it's 50 miles. So I think what they're going to do here is show how it changes and how Florida changing this is going to have larger effects. So you see that miles to nearest clinic offering abortions after 6 weeks. You can see all this is turning kind of blue. And we can go back and read all that stuff. But so it's kind of changed what people were doing, right? So probably all these people here were traveling in northeastern Florida, North Florida, to get abortions done, right? Because 6 weeks, you know anything about a woman's body, they don't know by that time. A lot of times, it's possible that they do, but a lot of times they don't. So what does that mean? I'm not exactly sure. I don't necessarily agree with it. I don't know what the right answer is here, guys. What do you think? You think this is a good idea, bad idea for Ron DeSantis and his run here? I'm honestly kind of getting tired of the guy, but a lot of people love him. I think there's a lot of things that he does right, a lot of things he does wrong. So, but I mean, that's a politician's answer right there. So maybe I'm the worst. Who knows? But let's go on to the next news story, and this is going to be something. I read the comments on this, and it's kind of funny because, of course, this person would win in Florida. But you know what? Hey, that's the point of this whole thing. So let's take a look. New York teacher wins HGTV Dream Home in St. Johns County. So this home in the southern part of Anastasia Island. Beautiful home, honestly. I mean, you can't beat it. I think they valued it around $2.2 million, if I remember correctly. And they also, 2.2. And she also got a Mercedes-Benz C-Class. So she lucked out pretty good. Now, being a teacher in New York, I imagine she makes a little bit more money. Is she going to have a hard time paying for this stuff? Who knows? Maybe not. Not sure, but she's going to have taxes, upkeep of the property, insurance. It's not going to be cheap to own this home. It's not. So this is kind of funny. You just read the comments here. So 99% of the people who enter the sweepstakes could not afford the taxes. Enjoy it for a minute, then sell it. Hey, that's not a bad idea, right? I'd probably do that, it doesn't have a boat dock. To me, I'd be I'll take the money and run. How will an elementary teacher at 25 years afford this? Will she apply for an open position with DCPS? Please pay your property taxes on time. New York State and Fed taxes will be over $1 million. This house will be for sale soon. So, yeah, I mean, that's kind of the thoughts that I had right off the bat. But I mean, maybe, who knows, maybe she's got money in the bank. That's very possible. I know New York teachers do get paid considerably more than here, but to upkeep a $2 million property, I mean, your taxes on that, I mean, let me just do the math here real quick. If you got a $2.2 million property, I don't know how that works technically because they didn't sell it to her. So I don't know how she would be taxed. Maybe she just taxed off of maybe the appraised value? I guess the tax appraiser would do that, yeah. So let's say it's 0.012%. It's going to be about $27,000 a year in taxes. So that's a tough nut to discover for sure. And then upkeep of the property, I mean, that's probably alone, $400 a month, something like that. Include the pool, the lawn, general maintenance. That's a tough one. I'd take it. I'd sell the Benz. I'd sell the house, and I don't know, hold on to that money. On to the next news story, guys, and this is something that we've been following up with, right? St. Johns County has been chosen as a recommendation for Florida's Black History Museum. So this just happened on Tuesday. They were among 3 different places, one in Orange County and one in Dade County. They have to still do a feasibility study before plans can move forward. But I think this is a sign of things coming here. And I just want to reiterate where this is on Google Maps, just so you guys have a good idea. And kind of the plan, I think there's a master plan here in St. Johns County, and it's, of course, to draw more tourism to town. That's where we get a lot of our money, right? It's a lot of our industry here. So this is downtown St. Augustine, right? So you got some great restaurants here. You got the distillery right here. St. Augustine Fish Camp is over here. Excuse me. And they're planning right here, there's a Browdy's Liquor Mart. They're planning on putting a parking garage there that will run a shuttle to downtown St. Augustine to alleviate some of the traffic downtown. And then West King has really started to kind of come into its own in its own sense of business. So where they're talking about right here is at the intersection here of South Holmes Boulevard and County Road 214. And this is the site that used to be a historical black college. And Zora Neale Hurston actually taught at this college when she stayed here in town. So it's not there anymore. It's just empty land. It got pushed out during the Civil Rights Movement, or prior to that, from what I read about. I could be completely wrong on that. But also right across here at the park, they just relocated the house that Martin Luther King stayed at. And there's a famous picture of him pointing at a bullet hole through the window of the house, and someone set fire to the floor in there. Some bad stuff, some really bad shit for sure. But I think that was the master plan all along. It's like, hey, if we put this right here, right across from the potential site, this makes us look like we have they're going to have a massive attraction within that site. They said it's going to be like a college campus. But then you're also going to have that house that Martin Luther King stayed in right there as well. So it's going to be like a double whammy. So they're probably going to have to run a trolley from this parking garage down here. So I imagine all this up here is going to change. And this leads us into our next news story, which I think is pretty cool, and it's something that we've been talking about, which is a different solution for affordable housing to address the missing middle in St. Johns County. So this is the biggest thing that you need to look at here, right? So what they consider missing middle would be duplex side-by-side and stacked, fourplex stacked, courtyard buildings, cottage courts, townhomes, multiplex medium, triplex stacked, and live and work areas, which, we just talked about that parking garage over here. Now, when they originally put the plan forward, they want to get the parking garage pushed because they need the parking garage really bad. But they also talked about adding a train station right here. In the same, it's like a 5-acre parcel, a train station right there. They're also talking about adding commercial space, and they were also talking about adding residences there as well. So, or workforce housing or affordable housing, whatever you want to call it. They're talking about adding all of that right here on West King with that parking garage there, with that trolley going into downtown. So my thinking is that they want to do something like that here and be able to connect everything from Holmes Boulevard down. This is King Street extension, but I mean this is basically King Street. Down King Street all the way through here. So that's good. I think that's going to be awesome. There's a lot of empty lots just on King Street that are waiting to be developed. If you do own a lot on King Street, reach out to me. I'll help you out. But I think you have a really high percentage chance of switching that over from a residential lot to a commercial lot, just because it's the highest and best use of that property. So I'd love to be able to help you figure out if that's a potential for you. You might, maybe you keep it and develop it yourself. Maybe you sell it, you take the money and run. But I think that could be really cool. But either way, that's kind of something that they're proposing here. So they're looking, the biggest problem, and the biggest problem is they're trying to fix affordability, but they want to give walkable neighborhoods, small footprint buildings, lower perceived density, and a smaller, well-designed unit. Now, the biggest problem with this is that the zoning within St. Johns County is not meant for that, right? It's not meant for townhomes and triplexes and fourplexes. And are there areas where there are some of that? Yeah, but not very many. So I think that's a fantastic idea. This area is already pretty walkable. I mean, I'm a mile to downtown. It takes me about 20 minutes to walk downtown. To me, I mean, unless it's in like July, August, that's perfect. I really enjoy that. Sponsored by Poppy. Stuff is good. It really is. But yeah, guys, what do you think about that? I think that would be a really cool plan. I think that's kind of the vision of West Augustine here, is to add some more walkability to it, add some more commercial space so that it does attract more people down here. And then also on top of that, the problem that they're trying to address here is affordable housing. The most affordable housing pretty much in St. Johns County, if you want to still be 20 minutes to the beach, is right here in West Augustine. You're not going to find it really cheaper outside of West Augustine. You could go, to Elkton, you go to Hastings, you go to Flagler Estates, you're going to find cheaper property there, but you're also trading off. Like, there's really nothing around any of those places. That's definitely more rural. Whereas here, you know, you still have it's calm, quiet neighborhood, honestly, but you have access to downtown right there. So it makes and West Augustine. So I think it's prime, you know, and I'm super excited about it. But let's go on to our news story here. Let's see, or next news story. A comment here. We got CB. I was expecting an email from you about the museum, CB. All the more reason to get that 214 I-95 interchange. It would bring tourists straight into town. You know, I wonder how long they're actually. I think they just approved another housing development out on 214. I should have covered that, but now I got to find the article and everything. I'm not going to do that. But I think they just approved that. So I think it's all on the way. I really do. And that really would be great because as of right now, it's not bad at all. Like, we're sandwiched between 16 and 207, so we have two options to get on 95, and they're like, I mean, for me, it's probably a 4-minute drive to get on either of them, you know, and I'm kind of right in the heart. I'm right off King Street here. So it's not that bad, honestly. It's not bad at all. There's no bad to it. But if they added that, I mean, it'd just be a straight shot right to 95. And yeah, I mean, I imagine in the future that will happen for sure. But yeah, I think it's going to be a good move for St. Augustine. I'm stoked on it. I think it's going to be good. I think this area definitely needs some more attention. I called the county and I say, like, hey, can you come clean up the sidewalks here? You know, like, some of the sidewalks just have sand covering them, like 100% sand. Like, you're just walking on like a beach on top of the sidewalk. And you know, you call them, and sometimes they'll come out and do something. Sometimes they won't. You know, it'll take me a couple weeks, and then you got to call them again. You got to call them again. They might do it eventually, you know, but it's like, got to be on their ass about it. It's kind of annoying. And then even what they do here in my neighborhood, I pick up trash weekly. And I almost wish they would tell me when they're going to come cut the grass, because pretty much every part of the neighborhood here has about 3 feet of county-owned property around every parcel. So they maintain that by coming by with a big mower, almost like a tractor, come by and they'll cut it like a farm tractor. And they'll cut both sides at the same time. But then when there's trash in the grass that they're cutting, then they just tear up all this trash and then just spew it everywhere. So instead of me picking up a piece of paper, a piece of plastic, I'm picking up like 20 pieces of plastic and 20 pieces of paper that were all from one thing. And it drives me insane. And they do have some guys that come out on ATVs and pick some things up, but like, it's just not enough. It's very frustrating. Very frustrating. I also wish people wouldn't just litter in general, but what can you do? Guys, that was the 4 news stories that I have for this week. If you have any questions about what I covered here, if you have any questions about the market, questions about best restaurants in town, let me know. I'm here to help. I'll be here I'll be here every Wednesday at 8 p.m. going over the market stats, the news you need to know about, everything about buying, selling, or investing. And all me and my team try to do is give you the information so that you can make an educated decision on what you already want to do, which is buy and sell houses, right? So either way, guys, hope you have a great Wednesday night. I will be hopping off here, and we'll catch you next Wednesday.